I served my husband divorce papers because he posted a reel making fun of my weight. It has been over a month since this happened. I didn't post this earlier, but I am posting this now. My husband and I have been married for 3 years now, together for 5. Our marriage isn't perfect, but we make it work. We both were fairly in shape when we first got together, but I gained a lot of weight when we had our kid and haven't since then. We are all Indians and it's somewhat acceptable to pull each other's legs. Mostly family does it and there isn't any malicious intent. So my husband routinely teases me about my weight gain, but I know he loves me and I try not to it personally. Because even I tease him about how long he takes in the shower and how obsessed he is with styling himself in front of a mirror, as a guy. My husband has quite the following on Instagram, usually posts a lot of reels and it's usually harmless and fun stuff. I was scrolling through Instagram and saw a reel about me, how much he loves me and all. I thought that was sweet. Immediately after, I saw another one. This one was also about me. It was a 5 years ago vs now pictures of both of us. With the background voiceover, not his voice, pulled a dialogue from a popular movie, translated. Before wedding, my responsibility was for 55 kilos, now it is 75 kilos and it keeps on increasing. Followed by a cackling sound. I don't know what happened, but a switch in me flipped. I felt humiliated and ashamed of myself in a way I had never felt before. I felt anger and hurt at my husband for something that was normal ribbing for both of us. My husband was away on a work trip, so I didn't contact him. I went through some Reddit advice for similar situations and most people advised serving divorce papers, so should I go ahead with it? Cut to present. Yes, I left divorce papers on his nightstand and went to my friend's house, 2 days ago. The entire family, including him and my parents, have been hurling insults at me for bringing shame to their family. They told me there's no concept of divorce in our culture and I should just keep my mouth shut of these feminist BS and come home to tend to my family, because as a wife and a mother, that's what I am supposed to do. That nobody will marry me because I am trying to be a divorcee, this is true in my culture. My husband said that he didn't think I'd snap at him like that and thought this warrants a conversation of it hurt so bad. I think I may have gone too far. I may be at the risk of getting disowned by my family. Should I just accept this compromise? Was I too drastic? Comment. I'm an Indian and I've seen way too many women in my family endure this kind of humiliation and disrespect from their partner, and whenever they contemplate divorce they are met with intense ostracism. I think you should go ahead with it if you feel like it's not something you can get over, and I'm incredibly proud of you for valuing yourself enough to leave a situation where you're not being treated right. However, I do think you should do a few sessions of couples therapy to sort out your feelings and make sure it is the right choice. You're absolutely right. I know what teasing and joking up is referring to in the cultural sense, we all do it. But never has someone publicly humiliated someone by making a reel and posting it. The jokes we make amongst ourselves is not serious, but finding before and after photos and uploading them onto a reel with a specific audio and pressing that post button is very serious. It doesn't constitute as a stupid, harmless joke anymore. I'm an Indian dude. Let me give you a story. My grandma, who I was extremely close with, as everyone in the family knew, passed away in 2016. Up to that point, I had gained about 50 pounds since these people had last seen me. We had literally just come back from the crematorium. I was having trouble standing upright because I was so numb from the pain, and one of my aunts stopped me and said, "What happened to you? You got so fat." And for a dude, if you spend too much time in the shower, in the bathroom, or in front of a mirror, people will tell you to stop being feminine. I'm not saying any of this is right, and it's not meant to be a but man. I'm trying to add to your point that some of this shit is too common in our culture, and if we want to fix it, we can't blame each other. I understand that weight affects women in our culture more than it does men for sure though. Her shower jokes and his weight jokes are both so relationship ending in the West, but it's left her husband confused because we hide our hurt and wait to react till it boils over. I've gotten those comments too. But there's a difference in making a blunt observation and making a real and humiliating someone on social media. Just like you, Op, and I are capable of realizing how this is a cultural thing and we should work towards moving on from it. Op's husband should be able to do the same. Just because it's common in our culture doesn't mean it has to be accepted by each individual person. Op has every right to call it quits if she's come to the realization she can't live with someone who takes little jokes and comments too far and resorts to humiliating her publicly. That apology is as bad as if he had said, "I'm sorry you feel that way, but maybe you wouldn't feel so bad if you weren't so fat." I have never understood how Indian men get away with treating their wives like that. I have an Indian friend who always says how nice her husband is to her, but he makes her go to the gym because he doesn't like her body, and says her tummy is too fat. Hello, that isn't him being nice to you. No man I have ever dated or married would ever dare make negative comments about my weight. I always thought it was just an unspoken rule. Next story 2. How do I tell my main character syndrome sister-in-law to back off without rocking the boat? My wife and I have been together for 7 years, married for 1. Her sister has really started getting on my nerves. She always has to insert herself into everything. She literally gave my wife a hard time for taking on my last name when we got married, even though she took her husband's last name when she got married. There are many other things that have really upset me, mainly the way that she treats my wife. She has assaulted her twice since I have known her, both times completely unprovoked. My wife was literally just sitting on a cooler on a beach last year, while we were on a family vacation with her entire family, minding her own business, and her sister came up and pushed my wife off of it very hard, and when my wife hit the ground it knocked her wind out and she became very upset. I had to hold her back from retaliating. Another time we were all partying and my wife was reading something on her phone and her sister just walked up and slapped it out of her hand, cracking her screen, for no reason. I had to pull my wife off of her. She wore white to our wedding. At the time I didn't really notice, but now when I look at pictures, there she is in a white dress at our wedding. She got some kind of liposuction or something a little over a year ago and now always makes comments about my wife's weight like she is some kind of health guru when all she did was get fat sucked out of her body. Recently my wife and I have begun house hunting and we are using my brother-in-law, the sister-in-law in question's husband, as our real estate agent. This has been a big mistake. My wife's sister now is constantly calling and demanding our reason for not putting an offer on every house we go and see. She literally tried to convince my wife that we should have bought a house that had tons of asbestos insulation in the attic. She is trying to convince my wife that we need to up our budget, and if we don't go look at a house that she sends my wife, she calls and demands to know why we didn't go see it and buy it. The way she treats my wife really bothers me, and I told my wife yesterday that she needs to talk to her or I will. I know her sister will not change because she does not respect my wife, so I am coming here to ask how to try and get through to this woman without turning my wife's whole family against me. I can no longer bite my tongue and allow this woman to disrespect my wife any longer, as it has been bothering me for a long time. Comment. First, change realtors ASAP. It's not professional for him to tell his wife about the homes you're looking at. My next advice is to gray rock your sill. Good luck. This. She is pushing you to up your budget because it means more money for them. She is also pushing you to buy houses she would never live in herself because they then get money faster. Change realtors, but also put the entire family on an information diet. Why is your wife still in contact with her? Like seriously, what is she expecting? Have a talk with your wife. She sounds so done with her sh*t anyway. Tell her that you'll rock the boat and that if it sinks at least you two have each other. Also ask her what she thinks of maybe moving much further away, as far as your jobs allow you, to get distance between herself and the horrible family. It means to pretend you're a rock and not engage, explain, or give that person the time of day anymore. Have you ever noticed a gray rock? Not really. Have you ever yelled at a rock? Probably not, because it's not like a rock is going to engage with you. I'm of two schools of mind about the gray rock technique. It's useful in a limited sense, like you with your sill. Used in a relationship, it lowers your self-esteem and makes you feel like garbage. So it can be useful in a third-party situation. Not in a primary relationship, though. I have a very similar sister-in-law. I can totally relate. Personally, in the beginning I did what you did, tried to avoid conflict. These people never learn. One day I sat down my wife and came clean to her about my intentions. I wasn't going to be pulling my punches on her sister anymore and just wanted her to know. She understood. From that point on I just call her bullshit each time it has anything to do with me or my wife. I've had fights with her in front of her entire family. She started crying, didn't care, honestly didn't stop until I laid it all out there. I don't care if my in-law become upset or anything. One thing I've learned the hard way is that if you don't stand up for yourself or loved ones, you will be walked over. We are at point now where she doesn't start fights anymore.